Hello dear all. In this presentation we discuss what is second prescription. So let's see the definition of second prescription. It is a prescription given after the first one has acted. Dr. Kent calls it as a next prescription. So where we need this second prescription? While case taking and follow up, we have to be very careful in understanding the utility of second prescription. So, in the case taking, we give importance to the patient's lifestyle, his diet and habits, his general feeling, his mental feeling, and appearance of new or old symptoms. All these things must be considered for follow up. So, the second prescription is done on the first follow up, and it will depend on the changes which takes place in patient's lifestyle, diet, habits, his general feeling of well-being, his mental feeling, and whether the appearance of any new or old symptoms. So physician has to be very careful, meticulous in understanding the patient's symptoms. What is the change which is taken place in patient's symptoms? Whether there is appearance of any new or old symptoms. So what are the types of second prescription? First is repetition of the first. Change in potency, change in remedy, placebo, change in plan of treatment. So, first three are done with step by step. First three are very important and they are in sequence. Okay, so we will discuss it afterwards. So change in remedy takes place under following headings, that is complementary remedy, cyclical remedy, anti-miasmatic remedy, intercurrent remedy, antidote, cognates, nosodes, alternating medicines and isopathy. These are all different remedies which can be administered and called as second prescription. So what is the caution to be taken in second prescription? Physician should consider the changes that occurred after the first prescription. The second prescription should not be done in haste, should give enough time for the first medicine to act, should not be done before studying the case record, and physician should avoid early repetition. So too frequent repetition must be avoided. So let's see the first type of second prescription. This is called as repetition of the first. So this definition has to be learned properly. What is repetition of the first? So symptoms which had disappeared under the first prescription comes back again, indicating a setback. So symptoms which had disappeared under the first prescription, it means that the first prescription was favorable and patient got amelioration, but again the symptoms came, indicating the reverse of the amelioration. So the word setback. So it says that the remedy was similimum, potency was correct, and what is the effect? Amelioration was there, but after some time symptoms come back again, indicating a setback. So reverse of amelioration. So what is the action? Repeat the same remedy similimum in the same potency and same repetition. If old symptoms return, stop the remedy. So, return of old symptoms is according to Hering's law of cure, and physician should stop the remedy. If the symptoms persist, then he can think of repetition of the first. So conclusion, the case is curable. First prescription was right and second prescription is repetition of the first. So see the second change in the potency. So this type of second prescription calls for change in potency. So this is a in sequence. So it is done after the first point. So first was repetition of the first prescription. So this is followed by change in potency. So let's see the discussion. Even after repetition of the first prescription, patient is not ameliorated. So what is to be done now? So if the remedy is right, then you need to change the potency. So first confirm that the remedy is right and then we call for change in potency. So we go to the next higher potency. Very important. We don't go to the lower potency because the previous potency has done favorable with the patient. It has increased the susceptibility and we go to the next higher potency. So it indicates that remedy was a similimum, potency was correct, but now that was insufficient. What is the effect? There was amelioration first, but after some time symptoms came back again. So we go for change in potency. What is the action? In spite of the repetition of the first, it was seen that the symptoms persist. So, the first step when we took was if the symptoms which had disappeared comes back again, we give repetition of the first. But even after repetition of the first, we see that symptoms persist, then there is increase in the frequency of repetition before changing the potency is done. So if the symptoms persist, we will do the increase the frequency of repetition. Still if it is not working, we go to the higher potency. So change the potency to next higher potency. So before we go to the next higher potency, physician should try repetition of the previous potency. So this step is not considered as a major point in the second prescription, but it is understood that when you are giving change in potency, the physician has done the required repetition previously. So change in potency is to the next higher potency. It is seen that after repetition of the remedy, patient is better, but complaints are increased and hence change in potency is advocated. So same point, previously I told you that repetition of remedy, patient was better, but again the complaints are increased. So we go to the next higher potency. But before going to next higher potency, we confirm that physician has given the repetitions of the previous potency. So this is the another a small step taken by physician before going to the next higher potency. So what is the Roberts rule of repetition? As long as there is amelioration, don't repeat the remedy. What is Kent's rule of repetition? Never repeat the same potency more than 2 times. Change in remedy. Third step is even after the repetition of the first, even after the change in potency, the patient is not ameliorated. Then physician goes to the third step of change in remedy. So, when even after the repetition of the remedy and change in potency, patient is not better, then can think of change in remedy. Okay. So, when a striking new group of symptoms are present, leading to entire change in the base of symptoms, and patient is not improving. So we go for change in remedy. Now change in remedy, first variety is a complementary remedy. The remedy which completes the action of the former remedy is called as complementary remedy. Example, calcarea carb is given after belladonna in cases of tonsillitis. After arsenic, kali carb is given in cases of asthma. So complementary remedy. So kali carb is complementary to arsenic and calcarea carb is complementary to belladonna. So what is a complementary remedy? The remedy which completes the action of the former. Deep acting remedy is given after superficial remedy. So kali carb was given after arsenic and calcarea carb given after belladonna. So calcarea carb, kali carb are deep acting remedy. They will complete the action of the previous remedy. So calcarea carb completes the action of belladonna. Kali carb completes the action of arsenic alb. So under the change in remedy now comes the cyclical remedies. Some remedies are known to go in cycle like calcarea licosulfur, aconite hyperspongia. So when you are administered calcarea carb to the patient, he will come with the symptoms suggesting lycopodium. See, he may get flatulence and the symptoms of lycopodium arise. After this, you find that after few days, he comes with the symptoms of sulfur. So, calcarea carb, lycopodium, sulfur follow in cycle. Similarly, aconite hyperspongia go in cycle, especially with respect to the respiratory complaints. Next is anti-miasmatic remedy. The well-selected remedy fails to act due to underlying miasm which is acting, calls for anti-miasmatic remedy. So you are given say calcarea carb to the patient and suddenly the improvement stops. This indicates that the underlying miasm is putting the block in the action of the remedy. So give anti-miasmatic remedy. Anti-miasmatic remedy which removes the block and clears the way for constitutional remedy to act to bring about cure. So it will clear the way of action of constitutional remedy to act to bring about cure. So anti-miasmatic remedy, so antisoric remedy is sulfur, antipsychotic remedies are thuja medorinum, syphilis, antisyphilitic remedies are syphilinum, morxol or a mate. So if the underlying miasm is sora, we give antisoric remedy sulfur. If underlying miasm is psychosis, we give antipsychotic remedies like Thuja and Medorinum. If the underlying miasm is syphilis, we give the antisyphilitic remedy, Syphilinum moxon. And after antimiasmatic remedy, again constitutional medicine is administered. Intercurrent remedy. So when the well selected remedy fails to act, give intercurrent medicine. Intercurrent can be enter the current of constitutional medicine. That is called as intercurrent remedy. Intercurrent is usually anti-miasmatic remedy which removes the underlying miasmatic block. Intercurrent can be a phase remedy or never well since pneumonia or typhoid. So accordingly we can administer the remedies. Antidote remedy. Antidote is the remedy which nullifies the action of the remedy given. So antidote is required when there is a remedy aggravation as wrong remedy which starts proving. So in this case give antidote. Coffee, camphor are antidotes. Nux vomica is universal antidote to allopathic medicines. Antidote is required to be given in Kent's first and 12th observation also. So first observation is prolonged aggravation, final decline of the patient. If the remedy given at that point is causing killer's type of aggravation, you stop the remedy and can antidote. Another is 12th observation where symptoms take wrong direction. Where the remedy is wrong, you can give antidote to the remedy. And in medicinal aggravation, when the remedy is wrong, you can give the antidote if required. Cognate remedies are given in Dr. Kent's philosophy. Cognates are the remedies which are closely related to each other. Totality of lachesis, sepia follow each other in the totality with respect to gastrointestinal symptoms or liver affections. So cognates are the remedies which are closely related to each other. So totality of lachesis and sepia follow each other. Nosodes, change in remedy, nosodes type. Nosodes remove the underlying miasmatic block. They facilitate the action of constitutional medicine. So these are all the uses of nosodes. Alternating remedies. Some remedies alternate each other. Example, Rustock's Bryonia totality. Some remedies have phenomena of altering symptoms. Example, Abrotinum. So the remedies have phenomena of alternation of symptoms. Like example in Abrotinum. And some remedies are known to alternate each other. So in the patient you see the totality of Rustock's and afterwards you will see the totality of Bryonia. In Abrotinum you will find that fistula in ano alternates with chest complaints. In silica you will find these alternating symptoms. Isopathy. Isopathy is given when allergy of one substance is there in the patient. It is removed by giving same substance after triturating it. Placebo is given when the action of remedy is continuous. You don't want to interfere the action of remedy. It is given for psychological satisfaction of the patient. Change in plan of treatment. When the symptoms of another miasm come prominently with disappearance of the symptoms of previous miasm. So there is a change in the symptoms of miasm. So example, psoriatic case may show prominently psychotic type of symptoms. Then you change the plan of treatment. You will have to change the remedy. So that was all about the discussion on second prescription. Thank you.